Hello, my name is Erin Swenlin from DecisionPoint.com, and today I'm going to talk to you about using DecisionPoint ChartPacks and how you can scan on ChartLists. I do this every day. It's part of my workflow, and I think that organizing your chart lists the DecisionPoint way might help you with being able to find what you need when you need it. That's always been my problem with chart lists. I have so many chart lists. So it's really important for me to know how to organize them and have them set up in such a way that I can get to what I need to right away. So I'm going to give you some of my helpful hints and tips on how to use not only DecisionPoint ChartPacks, but also to help with your scanning, and also to explain to you just how to set them up to make them a little bit more easy to understand. So organizing your lists like Erin. So first of all, I recommend using the StockCharts.com ChartList framework. When I first started on StockCharts, this was such a great way for me to immediately populate my account with just the basics of the framework on how you want to organize. It already is listing numbers, it's already using symbols, so it already helps you with what you need to use. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. Also, and as I keep referring to the DecisionPoint ChartPacks, we have 4 ChartPacks, I believe, right now, and all of them are free, and they will populate your account with all of the indicators that we use at DecisionPoint. It's organized so that you can look at things either by concentrating just on an indicator and looking at that across all of the different broad markets, or you can start with an index and then go in and start looking at all the indicators for that one. So I'm going to talk about how you can download those, and I think that you'll find that those really will help you with the organization. Between the ChartList framework and using the ChartPacks, you're going to be really well organized and set up. So this bullet point is huge in that it is determine your workflow, and I just left it as just a bullet. So I can't determine what your workflow is. Do you like to go in and look at intraday charts first? Do you like to follow your portfolio right away? What's your workflow? And once you know that, then you'll have a better idea of how to set up your chart list. And I'll explain my workflow as I go through. I really recommend using the numbers and/or symbols or punctuation marks to bring the chart list that you use all the time to the top. And I find that this is a great way to do it. Numbers especially, because you can always fit in other chart lists that are new, just using those numbers to pretty much organize it where you want it to be. Even if you just added that chart list yesterday and you want to put it in with the chart list you use pretty much every day. So this, as I said, it'll put the list that you want right at the top so you can see that. And then I highly recommend setting up a transient chart list. I actually got this idea from Greg Schnell. I think it's brilliant. I run scans all the time, every day. And so when you run a scan, it asks you if you want to set up a new chart list. Do you want to replace a chart list? Do you want to add it to a chart list? I set up a chart list that I use to dump scan results in that's completely transient, that is never going to have anything of importance in there past when I scan it. So it's really helpful to have that one place, because when you do a scan, and if you're setting up a new one every time with the results, it's going to get confusing. You're going to end up with all these chart lists, not being able to remember what you scanned, why you scanned it, etc. I think that using a transient chart list is really, really helpful. Know that the data will always change in it. So like I said, it's transient. So you're going to dump your scan results in there. But if there's anything important, you're going to want to pull that and put it in one of your important chart lists. So scanning using chart lists, and I'm going to go through all of these, real time. We'll look at it on the screen. But you can really find it's very powerful because you don't have to scan the entire universe of stocks. You can actually concentrate on your portfolio if you have it, or watch list, because I know a lot of watch lists can get very unwieldy. You end up with a lot of them in there. I know I do a lot of times. So scanning using those chart lists is really helpful. And using the workbench is where you're going to find how to scan a chart list. It's really, really simple. And I think that there are so many things on that scanning workbench that people aren't aware of, but this is one of the more powerful ones. So we'll find the chart list you want. Once you have all your chart lists, you'll find the one that you want. And then right there in the workbench, you're going to be able to scan on it. Additionally, if you have a scan and you want to scan against a bunch of lists, you can also do that. But the key is to make sure that you know how the and or function works, because if you use an and, that can be a problem. If you use an or, that can be a problem, depending on what it is you're looking for. So I'll talk a little bit about that as well. But let's go see how this all works right now. All right. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is downloading that StockCharts framework and how to download a DecisionPoint ChartPack, because that's going to be our starting point here. So all you have to do is click over here from my account. And there you go. So it's going to list the ones that are available. And if you're interested in which ones do what, you can very easily click on them. So the intraday chart pack is one that I use fairly frequently. It's really set up so that you have all of the intraday charts for pretty much all of the market indexes and sectors. And it's very easy to download, and then you can just click through all those intraday charts, and that works out pretty well. These others, the straight shots, like I said, this particular chart pack is going to allow you to pick an index and then get a straight shot, go right through and see all of the important indicators for that particular index. So I think that this one is very important. And of course, the trending condition one, it does very similar. It's very similar. You're going to get the chart list. And again, you're going to be able to go in and look at the Dow, look at the S&P, and then click through and see the charts that we think are important for participation, etc. And then we also have our market indicators chart pack. And I think this one's really important as well. This one gives you start with the indicators. So you start with breadth, right? You want to know a net AD for each of the different charts, broad market indexes. So you click into that particular indicator, and then you're able to just click through all of those charts and see that indicator on all of the different indexes or sectors, whatever it is you're looking at. So that is where you can download them. It's very easy to remove them, and you can reinstall them. We do update them now and then, so you might want to reinstall them. But if you do reinstall a chart pack, just be aware that if you have tons of annotations on all of those charts, they're going to go away because you're basically writing over all of those chart lists. So just something to keep in mind. This is the StockCharts framework. And this is what I was talking about, using numbers to organize what you're looking at. Now, for me, since I use those DecisionPoint ChartPacks, I don't use the framework quite so much, just because the chart packs are already organized for me for DecisionPoint. But it's very easy, again, to install it, and it's going to set you up with these headings in your chart list, and then you can pretty much change the number. So for example, if you have a scan results and you have a bunch of different scans that you have chart lists for, you would just number them 5100, 5200, however you want to do it. And that will ensure that it will show up under that particular heading. So I think that, again, I have used this on my Mac computer to organize my files. I have numbers and symbols in front of them just so that I always know where I can find what it is I need on my hard drive. But additionally, I use that sort of idea when I organize my chart packs. So we've talked about how to download them. So now let's take a look at my chart lists and how that all fits together. So I do have a lot, so don't get too freaked out here. But here are the ones for my workflow right here. I use exclamation points, and that brings these lists right up to the top. But you'll also note that I use the numbers as well to put them in the order that I want to see them in. And this helps me keep my diamonds up top for when I'm writing my blogs. The DPA chart list is the one that I use every single day. I look at almost every single chart in that list. So I want it to be right at the top for me. I also have our golden and silver crosses. This is a chart list available to our subscribers, and the ETF tracker, which you will find in the market indicators chart pack. So let's continue on down. Again, there's my scan dump. So this is where I put all of my scan results. After I run a scan, I just say replace that chart list, and it goes right into that scan dump. And then I can manipulate it. I can look at it in candle glance, however I wish. So I'm sure I have some stocks in here because, like I said, I always have something going on in that chart list. And sure enough, I have quite a bit from a recent scan that I did. And again, I just drop it in that scan dump, and then it's always going to be exactly what I'm looking at for that moment. But if there's anything in here that I find of interest, I need to save that to a different chart list, because the next time I run a scan, I'm going to dump all of the results in this chart list. So if there's anything important in here, I need to save it to a different one. But I find this to be very, very helpful. I can look at it in the candle glance, and when I get a lot of scan results, candle glance is the best. This is how I do a lot of my very quick sifting and scanning. I've done some videos on YouTube about sifting scans. You're welcome to go take a look at those. And really, it's just a matter of, I've been doing this so long, so I can just, walk through and say, okay, don't like this one. It's got a declining trend. It's below the 20. This looks interesting, double bottom. And, so I have these options by using this scan dump to immediately take a look at some of the charts that at least my scans are telling me I need to look at. So let me go through a little bit more on the chart packs here. Let's see, chart packs manager, scan dump. So I'm going to come back down here to my chart lists because they're all big and it's easier to see it. So I want to explain it from here. So I said, here are all of my punctuation marked chart lists to bring them up to the top. There's my scan dump. And then I just have some others that are kind of random, but I put dashes in front of them because I still want them to be up near the top, but I don't necessarily want it to fall within some of these headings. Now you're going to see the DecisionPoint ChartPacks, and you can see that they're already organized for you. So the intraday chart pack, again, you've got this heading, this placeholder chart list that is basically that heading to help you organize the chart list and what is inside of it. You can use this particular convention as well to organize your own chart list. Just set up one that's empty and just as a placeholder, and it will help you with organizing and seeing what it is you need to see. So here's our intraday chart pack, and I'm going to say, let's view this as 10 per page. And there you go. So I have my SPY chart up here. It's the intraday one. You've got other versions of it intraday. I use some of them with after hours trading in it for when I'm looking at them after the market closes. But as you can see, then I go into, here's the QQQ intraday. Now I have the S&P intraday. Let's look at this in a summary version, just so you can get a feel for what is actually included in the intraday chart pack. And there you go. Again, organized. I used my exclamation points because those were the ones I wanted to see at the top. And then from here down, I now have those numbers, and you can just click right on through and look at the intraday charts for all of these various industry groups and various sectors. They're all in here. And so you can just click through and quickly see just those intraday charts and what it is you'd like to be looking at. let's get back here to our lists. Okay, so I'm going to take us back to that dashboard. And we're going to go back down to the chart list. So again, you can see them more clearly. All right, so there's the intraday chart pack. The next one is that market indicators chart pack. And we also, because it's already on StockCharts, we also have comments on what is included in each of those chart lists. So it'll tell you exactly what the McClellan oscillator is versus the volume oscillator, highs, new lows, PMO stuff. So what I do on this one, this is just the indicators. So what I can do is pick, well, let's look at the PMO analysis charts. This is our price momentum oscillator, and it is very similar to the MACD and the PPO. So I have these chart lists for the PMO analysis, and notice that I have them for these major indexes. So I can start with, all right, I want to look at the PMO analysis charts. Now I have them all for the different indexes. So for example, let's go ahead and we'll look at the S&P one. And there you go. So I have this for the S&P, but I can click through. There's another one for the S&P. Here's the OEX. And again, I can just click through. They're all in that particular chart list. But let's go back once again. All right, here we go. So we looked at the intraday. We talked about the market indicators chart pack. And another one, like I said, any of these. We also have volatility indexes for all of these particular broad market indexes. And for gold and oil, we have volume ratios, which we're actually finding to be very, very helpful in determining market climaxes. But again, and the sentiment indicators, they're also included in that particular market indicators chart pack. So definitely a good one to have. Advanced market indicators, I mean, these are, you know, you could, if you download this, you can, it comes within the market indicators chart pack, but you can keep that if you want, if these are some of the things that you find interesting. We have one for the RIDEX funds that is still available, I believe. I haven't reinstalled my chart packs because I don't want to lose all my annotations. So some of these are a little bit dated, but not all of them. Straight shots chart pack. So again, now we can go in and say, you know what, I want to know more about a particular sector or an index. So let's just for purposes here, let's look at the S&P 600 chart pack, the straight shots chart pack. So we start with the index, and then we want to look at all of the different indicators that we have available at DecisionPoint for the S&P 600. And again, it's just wonderful because you can click in, and once you're in there, you can just click through and look at these indicators in that chart list. And again, I find this very helpful when I'm going in and I want to look in at one particular index or sector. I can drill down into that particular index or sector by using those chart packs for the straight shots. The other ones that we have available over here is the trend and condition chart pack. And again, this is very similar, but it doesn't, it's not organized so much by index. We include gold, we include silver in here, bonds, the dollar, etc. You're going to find these within that chart pack. So let's take an example. We'll look at the NASDAQ 100 in here. And there you are. We have the VIX for it. We have our STOs, the Swenlin trading oscillators in here as well. So you can kind of drill down by starting off with a particular index and then go through the trend and conditions by basing that on looking at our Swenlin trading oscillators, the McClellan oscillator is another one that we have for the NASDAQ 100, but we have plenty more. Like I said, if you go into the gold chart pack for trend and condition, you're going to see the various dollar golds, long-term, short-term. We follow the physical gold trust as well, and we've added grayscale Bitcoin in there to look at as well inside of the trending condition chart pack. So those are the chart packs that I use. This is how I pretty much organize and run my workflow process. I know a lot of people ask me, what is your workflow? Well, you can figure that out just by looking at my chart list. The ones that are at the top are the ones that I pay most attention to, that I'm using every day. The sector chart list is, something that I must have. I like to see all of our under the hood indicators for that. This particular list, like I said, is for our subscribers. We do have that available for them. And if you are a DecisionPoint subscriber and you would like to have this chart pack on your StockCharts account and not just have to look at it from our website, subscribers, I can offer you these chart packs. You can come look at them and I can help you download them to your own account. They just won't have the annotations. We keep those annotations up to date on our website every day. So you won't have those annotations, but the sector chart list is critical. And the nice thing about these chart lists when they're organized, for example, this one by sectors, is I can hit that view all button and I can look at them as 10 per page, etc. But I really, again, I love my candle glance. And you might notice that your candle glance style is a little bit different from mine. It's very easy to fix that. You can do your chart the way you want it, and then we'll just take an example here. So you set it up all the way you want. And in fact, I'm going to show you mine, which is under the chart styles. And it's called Candle Glance. So this is my sample Candle Glance chart. So once I have everything set up, I save it as Candle Glance. And that's going to ensure that when I get my candle glances up on the page, it's going to have exactly what I want. It has my EMAs that I want to see. It uses the PMO. It has the time frame that I'm interested in. It's just really helpful to use it that way. And again, viewing all, candle glance, there we are. This is just brilliant. So I can see all of the sectors all at once. And as of this recording, all of the sectors have rising momentum. So we know that the market is on its turn. And at this point, when you look at these sector charts all together, we know that there is a really solid foundation for the market to continue higher. So again, you really want to have these options within your chart lists, and I just think it's fantastic. So the last thing I wanted to cover is how to scan on a chart list. And this, I only saved a few minutes for this because honestly, it just doesn't take very long. So I'm going to start at the dashboard again. I'm going to go to the advanced scan workbench. And let's just pick out my diamond PMO scan. This particular scan is available on StockCharts. I wrote an article that I called the PMO scan to rule them all. If you look up that article, you'll be able to find out the code that you need to use this particular scan. So I have this scan, and right now it is looking at just stocks with daily volume above 100,000, yada, yada. So that is going to be looking at the entire universe of StockCharts, stocks, and ETFs with the restriction that in this case, it's a stock and it's in the US, et cetera. So I don't really want to scan on all of that. I want to just scan on one chart list. So the way I can do that is I come down here to the workbench. And there's one here called ChartLists. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with the fact that it is there, but it's very easy. So it lists all of your chart lists. And you can say, okay, I want to scan on Scan Dump. Remember my transient list? It's huge. It's got so much in it. So I can say, all right, I want to scan on this. So I'm going to add that to the bottom. It's going to add it to the bottom. And so now it's going to take all of this into account, but ultimately it's going to end up just looking at the stocks within my chart list. I can take this and put that at the top if I wish and overwrite that, but for the example today, I'm just going to leave it there. So I've added that, and now when I run my scan, this is going to scan just that chart list, that scan dump that I had, and only one of these actually fit all of the categories within my Diamond PMO scan. So that tells me by scanning just on scan dump, I've now been able to narrow down my results in that giant list of like 80 to 100 stocks. I've now been able to scan and just get it on that particular chart list. So that's really quite simple. But there's also, let's see. So I have one that is, let's see, the one that I want. So here's a focused PMO scan, and you can focus in on a particular sector, in this case, an industry group or sector. But one of the things I did want to mention is that once you set up some of these scans, you can now translate these over. So for example, I have one that is scoreboard. So it's scanning on my favorites list called DP Market Sector Summary, which means that has all of the major indexes and my sectors in it. And I'm looking for PMO crossovers and when they happen. Well, what I can do with this scan is I can just copy the entire scan, and I can set up an alert in the same way. So I just go to the technical alerts. I come in here, I can paste all of that in. Now I can have my alert set up with an email that'll notify me, and I can check the syntax, but it should be working just fine because I took it out of my existing scan code that I already have. So that works out pretty well. So you can see that I have done that. I have set it up to give me short-term PMO crossovers on this particular chart list, but I also am scanning on 2 chart lists. And I did mention this, so I do want to cover this. If you want to scan on more than one chart list, you need to think about the and the or functions. So in this case, it is the same list, but I have different parameters for that scan. So I have the list, and those are the parameters, but I also want to look at the opposite. I want to see when we get a downside crossover. So I use or. So I look at that list, and then or this particular code is what's working. So I'm taking one list, and I have 2 different ways to look at that scan, short-term PMOs crossing up, crossing down, and that's where I set that up. Now, if you want to scan on more than one list, you just need to be careful, because if you say and, that's great. But if you say or, that is actually going to shrink what you're looking at instead of just the one list, if that makes sense. So if I have my sector chart list and I say scan on that, but I also want to scan on my market summary chart list, I can do that very easily by using an and. So do this one and do this one, look at both of those lists and give me the results for that. So that's your and or for your alerts and for your scans. But you can look up more on that on StockCharts as far as using your language for scanning on those chart lists. Before I go, I did want to offer you a free 2-week trial to DecisionPoint.com. Simply subscribe to our bundle package, use the coupon code DPTrial2, and you'll get 2 free weeks to see what we're all about and check us out. That's all I have for you. See you next time.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.